Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And guys, we have an awesome show for you guys today. We're going to bring you through all the news and notes. We're going to be talking football like we do every single week on this podcast. Everything football here at Between the Pylons. Before we get into all that, right behind us.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton's hanging up. This is the guy. We said AFC South. We said wide receiver, gave the hints. And this is the guy that you could win. We are going to be running this probably for 5 shows, I would say.
Yeah.
So to enter, you got to go on to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review and leave a comment, just so we know your name, just so we can enter that in the drawing. On YouTube, like the video, subscribe, please. It really helps us out. And as well, leave a comment. You can do that on each episode that will be coming out while we run the T.Y. Hilton. At the end, put them all in a hat, and then we give them away.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Absolutely. So do that for us. That really helps us out. We really appreciate it. The guy who won the Barkley last week was really excited, so hopefully we get another listener that's as excited as he was. But let's get into it, guys. We're going to talk heavy on news and notes. I'm going to go through all the injuries. We're going to do word from camp again this week. We're going to talk about our buy sells, right? So we're going to do a full buy sell section, and then we're going to end it with a top 5 three-headed monsters in the NFL. And guys, if you're interested in any one of these topics more than another one, you can go into the comments and check out the timestamps and skip to your favorite part if you want. All right, that's always an option for you guys. But guys, let's kick it off. Melvin Ingram holding out.
Yeah, I think it'll end soon.
You think so? I thought it was funny because Bosa gets the crazy deal, and then Melvin Ingram, his running mate, essentially, is holding out now for the Chargers. Which
it's because he wants some dough.
Yeah, he wants to get paid like
Bosa.
What it
is. He wants Bosa, but they have a lot of names on that defense that are going to be coming up to the payday too. They have an elite secondary.
Yeah,
they just got even more elite with Chris Harris joining the bunch.
Yeah, Derwin James is there.
Derwin's payday will be coming up eventually.
Yeah. Crazy. Names. Yeah, no. Is this going to be one of those guys that gets? We've seen in the past. Very recent history. The Chargers are willing to let a player sit. That's what happened with Melvin Gordon last year.
Melvin Ingram is really good, and he team he has a certain value, but. And he's not going to set the benchmark for the new payday.
Yeah, and he's a more valuable position than Gordon was last year with as a running back compared to defensive end. Just definitely interesting. It's funny how I was watching. I don't know if you saw Hard Knocks last week, but I saw the at the end of the episode on Hard Knocks they showed Bosa getting paid, and then he's out there and Melvin Ingram's talking to him, and I remember thinking, I was like, it's funny because Melvin Ingram's ready for a payday too. I wonder what he's thinking, exactly. And then obviously we know what he's thinking now. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because different players they deal with this in different ways. I saw that Dalvin Cook is not holding out, but the team
light practice.
The team is keeping him on light practice until they get a contract done, which I actually like that. Right, that's a cool way for the team to say, hey, we're working on a deal with you. But you got to show up. You still got to do your job.
Do your part. Yeah.
We'll ensure that you're not doing anything difficult. You're not risking injury, nothing like that. So I like that. I think
that's both sides winning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll move on. Kenny Clark. Green Bay defensive tackle. He lands a 4-year, $70 million extension. He gets paid like one of the big interior defensive tackles of the leagues.
Yeah, I thought that was surprising, didn't you? Yeah. Look, he was awesome. Like you said, 6 sacks, 89 tackles last season. A great player. Was hurt in 2018, so a great comeback year for his 2019 season.
They have one of the best defensive lines.
They do.
It's really good.
And look, and it's important because he plays that like nose tackle, defensive tackle type position. It's very important for the defense they try and run there. But man, I did not think he was a $70 million defensive lineman. I didn't.
I think he has a Pro Bowl to his name, right?
He does. Last year was his first Pro Bowl appearance. Absolutely.
He's a good player.
Oh, he is. Look, I never disparage players getting paid. You
just did.
Yeah, if he's worth $70 million, 25 guaranteed, that's awesome. I was personally surprised, just as an analytics side of it, that they would delegate that much money to Kenny Clark. But that's awesome, man. That's great for him.
You're reloading.
Yeah. Last thing in true news before we get into injuries, because we got a lot of injuries to go through. Nick Saban, and I just thought this was really, really interesting. He voiced some concerns yesterday or today, whenever it was, that the college season this year is going to devolve into basically a JV league.
I don't know how big he is on the season, just because he is loaded with so much talent that some of these guys might sit out as a result, and then he is left with nothing but like you said, JV time.
So I mean, the essential idea is if all the guys that are getting NFL grades, right? I think that was his exact quote: "Getting NFL grades, sit out." Then I mean, what's left for college football? And it's a good point. I think it's
a good point. That means that now you're just a normal college football team.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what you're getting relegated to, because not every team. I mean, you have Bama and Clemson are the only ones fortunate enough to say that you have a guy at every position that can almost be in the pros. Everywhere else is like, come on, you have one every few years. I mean, for some of those smaller schools out there. Yeah. And I'm talking small Power 5 schools, not even below that.
Yeah. No, I 100% get what you're saying. I was more so saying it's a good point for like college football as a whole. If we're losing all the stars of college football, what does it turn into? And this hasn't happened, but imagine if Trevor Lawrence, opted out. Imagine if pretty much every projected first rounder next year opted out. If that's a possibility, that would severely hurt college football. I think it would make it much less fun to watch. Right.
I think one of the things going in favor of that now is some of the stars actually advocating that they want to play.
Yeah.
Justin Fields coming out with a petition saying that they hope that the Big Ten will reverse the decision. And I've heard a rumor, I don't know that it's true, but I have heard a rumor that they are going to reverse that decision soon.
I would love to see that.
I think so. They're getting a lot of backlash for it, and it's the way that the report came out. It's because if the SEC and Big 12 are able to play a full 10-game season in the fall, they're coming for the other commissioners' heads, because if they have to do it in the spring, because it's like, we did it, y'all could have done it.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
It's a tough situation, because you have to draw this line of, we can all honestly say that football is not more important than public safety and public health, right? Like that's an obvious statement, but at the same time, I mean, we're both guilty of it. We badly want college football in its entirety.
It's this balance of how long is too long? When are we going to get back to a norm? When are we going to try to get back to a norm?
Yeah, and
so because at a certain point you could stay under a rock and hide forever if you wanted to. You never know if it's safe.
Yeah,
I see it on both sides.
Yeah, it's a tough line. I think the NFL, they're maybe not doing a great job of towing the line, but I think they're doing a pretty good job with the stuff that they put in. Which the NFL has it easier because they're one league. They're one governing property with a bunch of teams that have to follow suit. So it's a little bit, and obviously they're professionals too. So it's a little bit easier to pay these guys to go, risk.
I wish they would have done a bubble mentality behind it. Now on an NFL thing, you could do maybe have 6 of them. Have 6 locations that that you can lock down. You can geographically place teams here and here and here for this.
Yeah.
And then you'd be able to keep the stuff in containment.
But see, how would
it's so hard to do because, it wouldn't even be what we think of a normal season.
It would be so weird.
But how's the NBA doing it?
I think the NBA is able to do it because, it's
a 14-man roster?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think you have a lot smaller roster. The entire,
That's why I said have 6 different locations, though.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I like what the NFL's doing. I haven't had a problem with it. There hasn't been a whole lot of backlash yet. Like, yes, there's been COVID testing, but they're testing every day. They're finding out a day in advance. Yes, it's going to hinder the NFL season in some way, but there's really been no signs in the past 2 weeks that it's going to destroy the NFL season.
Yeah.
From a college perspective, it's so much harder because, first of all, you can't pay these kids. There's so many more regulations and how long they're allowed to practice and stuff like that, and you can't just rewrite the book. That's exactly. For one season. That's just unrealistic. So you're stuck in this situation where players are. College kids are have more of a risk than the NFL players. I think just from based on what they can do.
It's all the risk versus no reward.
Yeah.
You don't get that $1 million pay. You risk losing your future pay because you're trying to get there anyways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that doesn't.
It's really just the guys that are on the bubble that needed this season to prove themselves. And I thought, Joe Burrow tweeted something out very poignant that said, if this happened last year, I'd be looking for a job right now. He tweeted that out, and it's like
that was the number 1 pick, one of the greatest seasons we have ever seen. Yeah, we would have missed out on that.
And it's so true. Yeah. It's so true. And really, there's never been a season where if you look at the mock drafts or stuff like that from before the college season starts to the end of the college season going into the draft, it's so different.
It was an upheaval.
Yeah, of course. There's always talent that shows up out of nowhere. There's always names that nobody's prepared for that ball out, and you hope that those guys aren't in the Big Ten because they might not get a chance.
That's them getting their future, and I do hope that the Big Ten plays football, whether that be in the fall or the spring. I think the guys deserve their chance to go out there and show what they got. And even if you're not even looking at a pro aspect, you put in so much time being a walk-on, being one of those guys who gets the last scholarship, doing all that stuff, I'm sure that you would like to go out there and represent.
Yeah, and look, you know this because I do a lot of work with the Between the Pylons YouTube channel with regards to the NFL draft and doing player profiles and stuff. I put a lot of time and energy into it. It's one of my loves of football. It's one of my favorite things to do every year. We always joke I watch more college football than any of the other guys, but I watch it after the season ends.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
do.
And I'm not paying attention to the scoreboard or anything like that. But so what do I do with the Big Ten players? What do I do with that's so hard. I'm just saying, me personally,
it's going to be hard because there's there was a lot of debate going into this season about Rondale Moore possibly being up there with a Jamar Chase. Maybe like it could be 1A 1B type thing. Yeah. Now you have to go off of last year's stuff, but this was supposed to be really the year that we truly saw him rise to that level. And now, what do you do if you're an NFL scout?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where look, if you're watching a sophomore kid play, right, a kid that's not coming out this year or whatever, you essentially ignore all of the technical issues that you see wrong because that's so coachable, and you learn that as you grow through college football and the NFL ranks, right? Yeah. So you ignore that, and even really to an extent you ignore it, for guys that are coming out because you know that some things are going to get coached out of you,
like you did with Jordan Love.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And look, there's right and wrong ways. You can give me shit for. I'm saying in a generalized situation, you watch a receiver run a bad route, that you're not specifically saying, oh, he can't run routes. You're saying he hasn't learned to run routes, right?
A lot of the thing with scouting in college, especially freshman, sophomore years, is physical ability.
Physical talent above all else.
If they have that, and then they can get their brain right, and then get their feet underneath them,
exactly.
Then they can do whatever they need.
Because if you're a technical genius, that's great. But if you don't have the physical tools behind it, it's not going to work in the NFL very often.
Yeah,
right?
You can only go so far.
Yeah, exactly. So the question is, when I'm watching Rondale Moore and all I have is 2019 film and 2018 whenever he was out there, what am I, how much can I base stuff on, right? Like you're missing a year of this kid playing. Yeah. And that's fine with like Justin Fields. If we don't see Justin Fields in 2018, we've seen enough of Justin Fields. We hopefully know what he is. You can figure out, you can make your assessment and all those things, right? But for the guys that were, maybe projected to be a second round pick, that's hard. That's really hard. There's just so much you don't know. It's just very difficult from that standpoint, which is kind of an aside to all this, but I definitely thought worth mentioning.
I get that.
I do want to say just one other point that you brought up that made me think. If we see a lot more opt-outs from the SEC and we see a lot of guys that just say, screw it, we're going to the draft or we're going to the NFL draft, we're taking a year to practice, which we've seen a lot more. I know Kenny Brooks from Oklahoma, the running back for Oklahoma, did that this last week. There's a lot of opt-outs that come out. If that happens, is this possibly an opportunity for these guys that are buried on a depth chart on a deep team that may get a chance to show what they have?
Well, someone's always going to rise to the occasion. As long as the spotlight's on, doesn't matter if it is JV. Someone will rise to the top out of all of that play. Now, whether you can base that,
that's the other part of it.
You got to look at your level of competition. That's one of the things that goes into like a Trey Lance type of. Whenever you're scouting him. It's the level of competition that he's played against.
You have to be
one
real
D1 athlete against lesser,
Yeah, you have to be real fucking impressive to be.
But someone will always be there, and someone, some of these guys will finally get their chance, and you never know. I think another big part behind the college atmosphere is taking away the atmosphere in the fans.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the loudest atmospheres in all of sports across any game is in college.
Yeah.
The craziest fans. I mean, something about Jordan Hare at night gets crazy. Auburn is undefeated almost whenever we have a game after 7 o'clock playing Auburn or playing Bama, LSU. All the big dogs out there. Same to go to FSU, some of those home games. I mean,
well, we know that very well. There's just something different about a college atmosphere. There's something different about a college.
Especially whenever you're a 19-year-old true freshman having to go into that environment and try to do it. Take that out.
Like
it's a crapshoot.
I'm literally like getting bubbles in my stomach. There's just no other feeling like it. Like on game night, big game between. I remember going to the FSU Clemson game when I was living in Tallahassee. There's just nothing else like it. We're gonna lose that this year, and that is unfortunate.
SEC is coming out with guidelines soon about the attendance and I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a wishy-washy thing. Say go with what your state guidelines are.
Yeah,
and then we'll have to see what that is. I hope that there's at least some version of capacity fans that get to go into the games.
Yeah.
because I want to go to a game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I want to go watch.
We didn't put this in the news and notes just because I've been kind of ignoring most of the stuff that comes to capacity, just because that's going to sort itself out maybe closer to the season.
So much is going to change.
But it did come out this week that the Chiefs are opening 22% of their stadium, so there will be fans in the NFL season opener for the Chiefs. I don't even know who they play, I'll be honest, but it's a home Chiefs game. So that was kind of interesting. That's exciting. But yeah, it's going to be weird. It's going to be super weird, just like, because I brought this up on a live stream that I did with Hammercast the other day. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever it is, and we're watching NFL Network, and some classic game comes on, and there's no stands in the background. We're like, oh, that was the 2020 Super Bowl.
COVID year.
Yeah, that was the COVID year. Like that'll kind of be interesting, right? Like we're
living through history.
In the same way that you watch an old football game, like I'll say for me and my Dolphins, right? I can base it on the type of helmet they have, right? The Dolphins helmet, I can kind of tell what era it is, and you can always tell. Oh, 13's throwing the ball. That's Dan Marino. Oh, this was early Dan Marino. Oh, cool. Stuff like that. It'll be interesting. That's just a random point, but I thought it was.
The COVID has left its mark on us.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna leave its mark everywhere. Absolutely. All right, guys. We'll move gears a little bit. We're gonna talk about some of the major injuries, guys. This is not every single injury across the NFL. These are the bigger names. I keep fantasy in the back of my mind for some smaller names that maybe aren't as impactful. I always bring up hamstring, but we went through. We brought up as many names as we could. And we're just gonna kind of go down the list, talk about how it might impact the team. I'm going to go first here with a couple of Bengal wide receivers. T. Higgins and A.J. Green are both having varying levels of a hamstring tweak, a hamstring pull.
For A.J. Green.
Yeah, T. Higgins has it worse. A.J. Green, was just reported as a tweak in his hamstring. But obviously, A.J. Green on an injury report is just so unfortunate.
I have heard very good things about Camp.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's gotten a lot of buzz.
Some saying that he has returned to top 10 form.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I mean, the NFL is better with A.J. Green being good, right?
It is, and so would my fantasy team be once I get him. The Eagles' defensive line, they are taking a massive hit. Javon Hargrave and Derek Barnett, both out with separate injuries. And it's an overall thing that I always hear from Eagles about injuries, man. They are always hurt.
Is it the field?
They lost Brandon Brooks to the Achilles. They're one of their guards, which is why they have Jason Peters stepping in now.
Man, it is so weird.
Have injuries.
The past couple of years has been rough for the Eagles in injuries. You hope this doesn't hurt him. Derek Barnett is the first round pick from a couple of years ago out of UT. He had the recovery.
The Super Bowl win.
Yeah, he had the recovery on the Super Bowl win. Yeah, so I mean, these are big names. These are guys that's severely going to hurt that Eagles defensive line, because their entire defense runs through that defensive line, and we know that because we know their secondary is trash, right? DeAndre Hopkins was sidelined with a pulled hamstring. Again, I don't think this is going to be a massive thing. A lot of the hamstring things, it's just interesting because that's the one injury that you always see come up throughout the season.
Look
right?
at T.Y. Hilton.
T.Y. Hilton last year. I mean, there's so many names that come up. Kenyon Drake for the Dolphins, last year as well, was in and out of an injury. I mean, it sucks. You see it all the time. DeAndre Hopkins being on that list, it just scares you a little bit, especially if you drafted him in the first round of your draft or anything. Like that's scary.
I'll bring it to a former Viking in Trey Waynes. He is having to have surgery on a torn pec, and sadly, he's going to miss most of the 2020 season. He just signed a 3-year, $42 million deal. And that's a big hit for that Bengals secondary because they went out and spent money.
Huge hit.
They spent a lot of money, too.
Yeah, Bengals are getting decimated a little bit with some minor, but obviously that's a huge injury for the Bengals there. I always think, because people see those kind of things and excuse me. People see that kind of stuff and we just kind of ignore it, or we think, oh, that sucks, and move on. These are the type of injuries that I really feel like affect Sunday and affect win-loss records at the end of the year. These type of injuries pile up on teams early in camp, and it starts to put a toll on teams. I really believe that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that may have forgotten about Trey Waynes going to the Bengals, and now he's going to be missing for probably 10 to 12 games, and then
at least
that's a chunk of the season, and you never know where that secondary depth is going to come in to help you.
Yeah, you hope, but
in this case, hurt you. Yeah.
All right, I got to bring it back to a local boy. We both don't know him personally, but we've both seen him play at high school.
I got ran over by him.
You tried to tackle him. I was going to say Jalen Hurd, 49ers wide receiver, was drafted in like the third or fourth round 2 years ago. Suffers an ACL tear. He missed his rookie season with a back injury, so he's never played in the NFL. Now he's going to miss his sophomore season because of an ACL tear. Really unfortunate for this dude.
Pretty bad run of luck. He was hurt a little bit in college, too.
Yeah.
I don't know what to be, because it seems like every single year someone's always saying like the sneaky pick, Jalen Hurd late. Jalen Hurd late. Yeah. There's so many ways they could use him, and you gotta get healthy.
Man, it's so unfortunate because he actually this is the guy, for people that are listening that maybe not know the name. This is the guy who transferred from UT to Baylor to be a wide receiver because he knew that a wide receiver position lasts longer in the NFL, and he wanted that opportunity. So Baylor takes a chance on him to become a wide receiver. Now he's in the NFL 2 years in a row. And he got a lot of crap for that
too, and he really shouldn't have, because he was doing what was best for his body and what was best for his career. And this is one of those things that, I mean, it's just luck of the draw, Sometimes
injuries happen. Yeah, especially those ACL tears. But yeah, Jalen Hurd being out for the season, that just sucks because I was excited to see him. And the 49ers have had a ton of wide receiver depth issues. I mean, they
just brought in 3 veterans.
I was exactly about to say that. Yeah, they brought in 3 veterans, which is something that I always look at to say, ooh, the 49ers are worried about their wide receivers. They're worried about their wide receiver depth.
Austin.
JJ Nelson was one of them. I don't know the last one.
Yeah, some around the road guys.
Yeah, gotcha. And then the last one, this is the worst one, right?
It's Gerald McCoy,
yeah,
defensive lineman for the Cowboys now, and he ruptured his quad and is out for the season, because for a second there with them bringing on Everson, it was like, oh my gosh, Everson and Gerald McCoy with the linebackers. I mean, this looks like a defense, and then you took a huge hit right there.
Did you see the video?
No, I didn't see it. Could you actually see it?
No, that's the saddest part. Is this was just a complete and utter fluke. Right? It was a one-on-one drill where, I mean, and granted, you don't see the full thing. You don't know how hard he pushed him, but it really just looked like this. That's all it looked like.
Boom.
And you could tell he just took a step back on his right leg and just collapsed. It was so sad. It was so sad. I mean, it's always sad to see injuries, but just to see a guy who's in the twilight of his career trying to make something happen late, and it bursts, and you could tell he rolls over.
He's an absolute monster too. And I forgot to mention DeMarcus Lawrence on that defensive line too. Yeah. I mean, this was looking like a unit.
Oh, it was going to be.
Thank God they got Everson.
Yeah, it was going to be one of the better D lines in the NFL. Very, very unfortunate for Gerald McCoy. All right, that's it for the big name injuries. Yes, there were other injuries. I'm sure you're at home thinking, oh, you didn't mention. No, we mentioned some of the bigger names. That's it. If we went through every single injury that happened this week,
we'd have a show.
Yeah, that'd be our show. That'd be it. Yeah. So we don't want to do that. We're gonna switch gears to word from camp, which this is quickly becoming one of my favorite segments, just because we get to talk about maybe smaller things that might affect people in fantasy. I think it's really fun, really interesting conversations come out of this. So word from camp. I'm gonna start it off here with ESPN's Rich Semenia, I don't know that person's name, I don't know, Rich something, reports that the Jets' offensive plan as of right now is to lessen Le'Veon Bell's workload and utilize Frank, the 72-year-old Gore.
I've had this article sent to me 3 times.
Really?
Because of how big, I promise, because of how big I am on Le'Veon Bell. I have had this sent to me at least 3 times, in saying that Frank Gore is going to be the second and 2 back, like the situational, we need just a dive real quick, could be the goal line back. And that's scary, because that does take away fantasy points and quality touches away from someone, I think Le'Veon Bell, who I think does better when he gets to going, when he gets to grinding, when he stays in the game. And then it's like, oh God, he's over at slot now. Oh God, he's back here. I think it really helps Le'Veon Bell to use Le'Veon Bell like you should. So come on, Adam Gase. But
my biggest argument against your Lev Bell love, and I haven't hated on it too much, because where he's going in drafts right now, I'm fine with the value.
Third round.
Yeah, I'm fine with that value. Just like I love Leonard Fournette in the 3rd round. Wouldn't touch him in the 2nd, but in the 3rd round, late 3rd round,
and I wouldn't touch Lev in the 2nd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I understand where you're coming from with the argument, but man, my biggest complaint about it is Adam Gase is one of the worst coaches. You just go back, to the Dolphins, even with his time with the Broncos, does not utilize the running back in a way that helps fantasy football owners. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. He doesn't give a damn about your season.
No, he doesn't. Nope. And he, and I think it's to the detriment of his own team. I really believe that he doesn't give his running backs a chance to get going, because I mean, there's just a zone that running backs get into.
I almost think that, like, I don't know, just to be able to conform I get having your own little twist and style and flair that brings you to an offense, but to deny yourself of these talents. If I'm a West Coast style coach and I go to any version of a team, but it's like, damn, we got a big interior offensive line. Damn, we got a really good between the tackles runner. I'd be a fool if I expected them to conform to something that, and I know these guys are cream of the crop talent and they're good at, transferring their stuff where it will, but I just think to not use Le'Veon Bell to his full extent like Pittsburgh did, you're doing yourself a disservice as a coach.
Yeah, no, it's super unfortunate. Let's talk about this. Frank Gore has been on 3 AFC East teams in the past 3 years. That's all cool. Right. So it was on the Bills last year, and I would argue he took away touches from Devin Singletary.
He did
hurt Devin Singletary owners to an extent. He was with the Dolphins the year before, and I believe they were still trying to make Kenyon Drake work in Miami. And a big reason why Kenyon Drake didn't work in Miami is because Adam Gase, who was in Miami at that time, didn't utilize Kenyon Drake the way he should have. And I swear to you, I'm a Dolphins fan, right? I'm wearing a vintage, like super rare, greasy jersey right now. I know everyone thought it was the Ravens jersey, but it's a greasy jersey. Adam Gase stood by throughout the entire season of questioning that Frank Gore was one of his favorite runners because he trusted him in short yardage situations. I feel pretty confident saying that based on this right here, and then just on the history of Adam Gase, he is going to use Frank Gore in short yardage situations. Frank Gore is going to have no fantasy value because he's going to run the ball 10 times for 40 yards, but man, those 10 carries are really going to suck to see taken away from Lev Bell.
Yeah,
or 8 carries, whatever it is.
I just think the potential of a carry when it's a Frank Gore versus Le'Veon Bell, I mean, there's a big difference.
Huge difference. Now. Yeah, no.
But I can see, I do kind of see why Adam Gase would like an old head like Frank Gore going in there and getting the job done and doing that. I can see where it works on your team.
Yeah.
But like I said, the way that Le'Veon Bell should be used is not going to happen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I'm still high on him. I still guarantee you that he has the ability to be a top 5 running back.
Yeah.
I promise that. He has the ability. Will he get to use it? I don't know. That's up to Adam Gase. We will see. Yeah. I'll move on. Jeff Legwold is reporting that Melvin Gordon has been struggling with the altitude, splitting carries 50-50 right now. With Phillip Lindsay. Yeah.
Man, that's one that's interesting because really Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay aren't really being drafted super high, but
Melvin's pretty high.
Yeah, but Gordon's going 3-4 rounds or 4 or 5 rounds,
something like that.
Yeah, but he's going 4 or 5 rounds ahead of Phillip Lindsay. Mm-hmm. To me, this says that Phillip Lindsay is going to be a value early. He's one of those guys that I always look at like, ooh, he's going to have a fast start. Trade him in week 4 or something like that. You know what I mean? Just based on this.
I'm good without either when it comes to my fantasy team.
Absolutely.
I think it's one of those things where I don't know how this offense is going to run yet.
Yeah.
And if I had to put my money behind someone, it would be Melvin Gordon in the 4th or 5th round. That sounds like a good bet for me because I know his talent. Yeah. I always go with the guy who I know has the talent to do it, and then I'll blame the system if it doesn't work. I mean, that works.
Look, Phillip Lindsay is a talented running back.
Phillip Lindsay is good.
He's a talented running back for what he is. He's a scat bag type of, third down type of guy. I understand
especially
that's
considering
small.
his story. Like, wasn't he was undrafted?
Yeah, he was undrafted out of Colorado State, goes to his home team trying to get a shot.
Yeah.
The team that drafted a running back in the 3rd round who's supposed to be the dude out of Oregon, and he ends up getting the start in week 1 and just blowing everybody out of the water. It's a great story, and he's a good running back. He's going to be in the first undrafted rookie to ever get an Pro Bowl experience.
Well, you're saying 4 or 5 rounds after Melvin's in the 3rd, 4th-ish range, so that's like a 9th round pick for Phillip Lindsay?
Yeah, that's a deal. Huge value. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah. It was the same kind of conversation where we talked about Jordan Howard being a value last year.
Like I've said, there's always names that I do like and don't like, but it strictly comes down to rounds in which they go.
Absolutely.
There's a price tag where Mitch Trubisky can be on the no, he's not.
I mean, honestly though, but that's such a great point when we talk about the draft and we talk about fantasy football, especially when you're doing a snake draft in fantasy football. Look, I can come to like any player at the right price, right? Yeah. There's certain guys like Le'Veon Bell's a guy who I'm probably not targeting, but if I'm at the beginning of the 4th round, Le'Veon Bell's still on the board, man, it's gonna be tough for me to pass him up.
Oh yeah, every single name just depends on where you're at. I'm not super big on T.Y. Hilton this year.
Yeah.
Just going into last year, I had him, and that hamstring was really bothering him in the round that you got to take him. But if he's there in the 5th round, 5th, 6th round, he's mine.
I will say I am a little bit high on T.Y. Hilton. He's not on this list, but there was one report that I saw earlier this week that talked about how he's been a standout in camp, which is T.Y. Hilton, of course. I
heard great things about Paris Campbell actually too.
Yeah, but I love Paris Campbell.
Colts coming at you.
I love Paris Campbell. Look, we're going to talk about that a little bit later in buy sell trade, so we'll move on from there. I will take over. We're going back to the Jets. We got 2 from the Jets this week. Charles McDonald stated that Jamison Crowder is clearly the best wide receiver in New York.
Well, Denzel's hurt, right?
Denzel Mims, I think he's out right now. Yeah. It's either way, I mean.
Wow, that's bold. Jamison Crowder, ADP 10th round.
10th round. Yeah.
If it goes back to what I said last year about Robbie Anderson. I know you don't like Robbie Anderson.
No, I don't dislike Robbie Anderson.
Well, it's if you can find a wide receiver 1 who they're saying is going to line up as that, I'd run that in the 10th round.
Jamison Crowder in the 10th round is a huge value. Granted,
it is.
I mean, we can go down the list of wide receivers, and I did this on the on the live stream that we did with Hammercast last week. The list of wide receivers in the middle to late rounds is ridiculous. The amount of value in the late round, it's very deep.
Go running back first 3-4 rounds,
and then just go wide receiver. Take 5 or 6 shots at wide receiver. You're gonna hit on a couple, producers. I absolutely agree. Anything else you want to say about Jamison Crowder? I think we talked about the Jets too much in my book.
We're good. KJ Hamler, the Broncos' 3rd wide receiver, is having a big impact in camp, according to Eric Dalala. I think I saw a video of him doing his cuts and stuff. He looks really quick, looks really crisp, looks really clean. But where do you draft KJ Hamler?
I don't know. That's such a good question. I don't know. Look, this is a rookie.
Can you actually put stuff behind that? Because I think the other 2 guys in front of him have so much more promise.
Yeah. Look, this is a rookie wide receiver who's drafted based solely on his speed, right?
Yeah.
Super fast guy out of TCU, Penn State, something like that. One of those type of schools. I can't remember either. I remember I didn't like him. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm the one that put this one in, and I put it in because I know that I wasn't high on KJ Hamler. I really wasn't. I knew he got drafted because of speed, or at least that was my assessment of the draft pick. Look, if he's balling out in camp, that's awesome. If he's going to have more of an impact over a Jerry Jeudy and a Cortland Sutton, there's no way in hell. Yeah, there's no way in hell. I think
he'll be out on the field when they do 3 wide receiver sets at best.
Listen, we talk about this particular segment. There's going to be stuff that's just kind of like, boilerplate, excitement for our team.
These are these guys beat writers, so a lot of them have a passion for what they do, and they try to get some of the fans hyped up and buying into it too.
If anybody who reads their team's fan sites, you always get hyped up on guys that maybe never pan out. It just happens. I think this might be what that is. That's my personal assessment of this. But if it's true, KJ Hamler's still a free agent that I wouldn't touch in a regular draft. If you're obviously, you
could stash him late if you're in any type of a deep league, just because I do think that it will be an exciting offense. And I think he's going to make a step.
We're doing our yearly keeper league. If he's there,
20 rounds.
20 rounds in a keeper. Yeah, we might look at him late. That's the kind of value that you're looking at for KJ Hamler.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to close it out with your guy.
Yes.
Justin Jefferson, another rookie wide receiver, is getting high praise in Minnesota. And when I say high praise, he's getting high praise from beat writers. He's getting high praise from the coach. He's getting it from pretty much everywhere in Minnesota. The team is very, very excited about Justin Jefferson. He has the offense down. He said that it is not too dissimilar to what they were doing in LSU. And that just means if he can have that kind of production, man, I am so excited for Justin Jefferson. I have him in one of my leagues. I want to have him in more. If there's a rookie wide receiver I'm targeting, it is Justin Jefferson this year.
Thanks. I'll note that.
I'm just being honest with you.
I'm very high on Justin Jefferson. Like you said, he is. That was my fantasy profile last week.
Yeah.
He is stepping into the role of where Stephon Diggs was in the ceiling and the potential that we saw with that. Justin Jefferson can do better things. I know it's bold in saying that. I really like the pick, though. It was the guy that I wanted going into draft night. We landed him. And you never know. He could eventually be our number 1 option over Adam Thielen. I think Thielen plays better out of the slot anyways.
Yeah, and you're not saying this year. You're saying down the road.
Future,
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. For this season, though, out of all the rookie wide receivers, I really do like Justin Jefferson. Dare I say the most?
I think
it's Jerry Jeudy and Justin Jefferson for me.
Yeah, and for me, it's Justin Jefferson over Jerry Jeudy. And this comes back to fantasy football. This comes back to what do you value most in fantasy football? Opportunity and talent. I believe in the Justin Jefferson talent. I believe in the Jerry Jeudy talent too. But I think
he has the opportunity too in Jerry Jeudy. Yeah.
That's fair. But the Justin Jefferson opportunity is so immense, so obvious, so clear. You summed it up so well last week in your fantasy profile. it's just there. It is served on a silver platter. The second you went to Minnesota, I was going to be excited about Justin Jefferson. Hearing this out of camp, though, it confirms for me a bias that I already have that I think Justin Jefferson's going to do really well this year.
So what round are you thinking?
11th
on average, I believe.
Really? He's going in the 11th round? Okay, then I guess I would probably. I thought he was going later than that. Honestly, I'm struggling to do an 8.
It's hard.
Talk about Justin Jefferson for a second. I'm gonna pull up some ADP, and I'll tell you.
Go ahead. I already said everything that I had to say about him. The reason that CD isn't up there is because you have Michael Gallup, who has not gone away, and he's a great talent too. Going into his 3rd year, I believe. I don't know where CD's going to be able to line up in that whole thing. Jalen Reagor is one of the names that I hear that we'll talk about later on, but he doesn't get mentioned enough. Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Cool.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put up just wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
And what you were saying about Jalen Reagor, I think he's the other guy that you might want to look at as far as. All right, but you said 8th round. The reason I'm going to struggle to take him in the 8th round is because
it's deep, isn't it?
Jarvis Landry's going 7-10. Tyler Boyd, who I actually think is going to have a sneaky good year, is
There's
going
CeeDee Lamb,
801.
at 902.
Yeah,
before a Henry Ruggs and Mecole Hardman.
See, I'm taking Justin Jefferson over CeeDee Lamb right now. Jerry Jeudy goes 10:06. Let's keep going down. Alan Lazard goes 12:10. I still don't see Justin Jefferson. Ooh, is he not even on this list? It goes to the 14th round, so it doesn't go past the 15th round. If Justin Jefferson's not there, that's weird. Oh, there he is. Oh, I missed him. So he's 11:03. Yeah, you're dead on with 11th round. I would probably take him in the 9th. If I'm just looking at this, if it goes based off this ADP, which we're using Fantasy Football Calculator, you're seeing Deontay Johnson.
Kind of sad we talked about rookie wide receivers and we didn't mention Ruggs.
Yeah.
I think Ruggs is one where ability and opportunity does line up pretty well.
It really does. Ruggs is the other one. Right now, I think I'm taking Justin Jefferson over Ruggs right now, though.
I would take Justin Jefferson in the 8th round. I like him more than most of the names that are there.
Let me go down the names and just kind of, because Deontay Johnson's going 803. I'll take Justin Jefferson over Deontay Johnson. Yep. Deebo Samuel's going 806. Look, I love Deebo Samuel's injury. He's not starting week 1. We don't know how serious that foot injury is. He broke his foot in the offseason, so you just never know. I might consider waiting on a Deebo Samuel and taking Justin Jefferson there. I would take him over a Melvin Jones who's going 811, and I would definitely take him over an Emmanuel Sanders who's going 901. What do you think?
One of the names that pops out to me, and it's bias that comes in, is Darius Slayton. I know he's the number 1 option in New York, and I really am expecting big things out of Danny Dimes. Mm-hmm. I mean, Golden Tate technically the number 1, but Darius Slayton really gives him that true red zone possession threat.
Yeah,
and I think he's a great receiver. It'd be tough for me right there, but all the other names, I mean, it's definitely Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
sure.
Nah, that's crazy.
7th round is where you start to have that little bit of a dip.
Yeah,
in receiver.
Yeah, but I mean, look, before that, like I'm gonna quickly recap some of the stuff I was talking about.
The start of the 8th round is where the drop happens.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at the 7th round. These are just guys going in the 7th round according to Fantasy Football Calculator. Julian Edelman, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, Jarvis Landry.
That's good talent.
That's good talent.
I couldn't take. I mean, I would take Justin Jefferson before Julian Edelman for me.
Yeah, I agree. Julian Edelman's the one I wouldn't take, but Julian Edelman, wide receiver 1 on his team. Yep. Will Fuller, wide receiver 2 with a deep threat, obviously always injured, but serious, but Brandon Cooks was a wide receiver 1 on his team, might be the wide receiver 1 on this team. Michael Gallup, wide receiver 2 with high upside. Jarvis Landry, wide receiver 2 with high upside on his team. Go into the 6th round. Devontae Parker, Marquise Brown, Stephon Diggs, AJ Green, all wide receiver 1s on their team.
And I want those all day, every day. It's crazy, man.
Marquise Brown and Devontae Parker, I would take in the 4th round
if they were going. I like that
group
of 5 more than the group of 5 that you find from 411 to 506-ish. Yeah. And I'm bold in saying that because
say the name.
Well, that comes with 411, DK Metcalf, 502, DJ Shark, Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, and Terry McLaurin. Not saying they're bad talent, but Cortland Sutton, AJ Green, Stephon Diggs, and Hollywood, and Devontae Parker. Gosh, man, that's good
ridiculous.
Talent.
Yeah.
So rounds back half of 4 through 7, you can target receiver and you can do it, and that means you got to get running backs 1 through 3.
Yeah,
you have to.
Absolutely agree. And I mean, all right. So that's a good way. I like that divulged. That was awesome. All right, I don't know what I'm trying to say. We're gonna get back on here. Oh, we're done with word from camp.
Yeah,
that's it. Oh, we're doing buy sell.
It's buy sell time.
All right, so we've been fun. We've been friends. Now we're about to disagree and fight a little bit.
Let's alternate them. Let's alternate them. Go ahead.
I'll go first here. 2 rookies end up as running back ones in fantasy next season. So that's top 12 running back. Buy or sell that 2 rookies. Honestly, I almost made it buy or sell 3 rookies because I almost made it. I don't think it'll be 3, but I do think it'll be 2.
Well, we already have 1 in Clyde.
Yeah.
Now, are you looking at projections or production? Saying that Clyde will actually have.
I'm saying, do you believe at the end of the season, at the end of 17 games, that there will be 2 rookies that end up in the top 12?
No.
No.
There'll be 1. It's Clyde.
Really? Look, I'm staying with it with the Akers conversation.
I really like Akers a lot. I'm not saying it's a discredit to him. I'm saying it as a credit to the other running backs. I think Cam Akers can do that. But I also know Sean McVay's willingness to run other backs, and Darrell Henderson is still very much there. And believe it or not, Malcolm Brown is there. And they played Malcolm Brown a lot last year in areas where I thought Darrell Henderson would take over the load whenever Todd Gurley was out. So it's kind of weird.
That's actually my biggest argument. So Malcolm Brown, look, he's fine. He's a good running back, great. But we saw what McVay is willing to do with Todd Gurley the year that Todd Gurley had those ridiculous numbers, right? And then we saw the next year, we thought, Todd Gurley has the knee injury. They're not going to be able to use him as much. Well, Darrell Henderson's going to be the running back 2. No, Darrell Henderson doesn't earn that running back 2 spot, which I thought was a little bit weird. I thought he would. I did believe in the talent coming out a little bit. He doesn't. So I'm out on Darrell Henderson. I felt like he had an opportunity. He didn't live up to the hype.
So Cam Akers, I am not taking that yet.
Yeah, for me, and this is just my opinion, Cam Akers is he is a future workhorse star in the NFL. I believe he's going to. I think he's going to command the starting role by week 4. I understand starting out it's going to be murky. There's going to be a lot of players, and that's why his draft value is in the 6th round. People are taking a chance on him. People believe in him. But at the end of the day, nobody knows what's going to happen with the Rams running back. The coaches right now don't know what's going to happen with the Rams carry load. My prediction is that Cam Akers is going to take over. They're going to get back to the roots of as a run-first football team, and Cam Akers is going to have a massive season this year and be a running back 1 in fantasy. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think he's really good. In our dynasty league, I took him in the 3rd round. I took a big shot on him because I know the potential is there and the offensive system lines up with it. Look, but is he going to be able to get it this year?
Tell everybody why you took him in the 3rd round.
Why did I take him in the 3rd round?
Because you took him 1 spot ahead of me because you knew I was going to take him.
Yeah, that's what I did. Hey, play to your audience.
Hey, it is what it is. All right. So you're selling that. I would buy that.
I'm going to sell. Yeah, because Jonathan Taylor's not there yet.
That's why I said 2 rookies, because I was going to give you the opportunity.
Swift, no.
I was going to give you the opportunity to say, because I know a lot of people that would say Jonathan Taylor will be an RB1 next year that are very, very adamant that. I don't believe that, but it is what it is. Swift, look, we saw Kenyon Drake was in a walking boot earlier this season, earlier this last week in camp. Kerryon Johnson. Yeah, what did I say?
I can't remember.
I don't know. Whatever. Kerryon Johnson was, granted, he had a knee injury last year. That happens. It's not super newsworthy, but it's worth mentioning, for a DeAndre Swift upside. You just never know, man. I don't know.
Who's the guy that we are not talking about rookie running back wise that might slip in?
I'll tell you.
Not to RB1 area, but
Anthony McFarland for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
There you go.
That would be.
I've also heard some buzz around DJ Dallas
out of Seattle. And that's a good one because obviously Rashad Penny's still hurt. He had a very gruesome injury late last season. He's not going to get back to the second half of this season. And Chris Carson also had an injury that wasn't as serious. He was back to start camp, but he's missed camp with personal issues. We never know what that is.
Once again, a team that likes to run the ball.
Loves to run the ball. DJ Dallas might be one. For me, DJ Dallas, I just don't think I believe in the talent that much. I don't know. I learned last year.
It was definitely a Seattle-like pick because there's always other guys on the board that I think would fit better and be better. Yeah. And then they make their guy. They always have their guys.
Listen, you know this. Last year I got burned a couple times betting on players that were on teams that I liked and that looked to have opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that this year. If I don't believe in the talent coming out of college, I'm not going to bet on these young guys. And for DJ Dallas, that's where I stand on that. But Anthony McFarland, that would be my pick for just a sneaky late round guy.
All right, I'll bring it to my buy or sell. Buy or sell, Devin Singletary in the 4th round.
Oh, buy.
Buy.
Buy. 4th round?
Yeah.
Did not realize that.
401.
By 1,000 times. Guys,
wow, there we go.
Yeah, no, this is the RB1 of the team. Look, I get it. They brought in a good running back to
and
complement.
Zach Moss, and I'm hearing a lot of stuff said that Zach Moss, and it truly tricks me because I'm invested in Devin Singletary to the 10th fold. I mean, I love him to death. I think he's going to be able to step up.
Yeah, I'm in a lot of leagues.
I do. I bought a lot of stock in him, and I'm going to continue buying stock in him because I think last year where Frank Gore took away a lot of stuff where he shouldn't have, Devin Singletary was kind of banged up in some areas. If he's good to go, I see Zach Moss's ceiling. I mean, he can take some touches away, but there is no way in my head that he can surpass Devin Singletary's workload. Listen, it should be Devin Singletary, and then Zach Moss is your complimentary back.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what it's going to be. Zach Moss is coming into the Frank Gore role.
Yes.
Except for the beginning of the season last year where Frank Gore was the RB1 and Devin Singletary was kind of figuring it out. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Devin Singletary is the entrenched number 1 running back throughout the season. Devin Singletary is the pass-catching running back throughout the season. Zach Moss is going to have some goal line carry. Zach Moss is going to take away. He's not,
But in a PPR league where you can, Devin Singletary has got it made. Zach Moss is between the tackles, 3rd down, goal line.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
there might be 3 to 4 touchdowns that Zach Moss could take away on paper because of the goal line stuff. Yeah. But Devin Singletary is going to get his numbers.
In the 4th round.
For a running back, too.
Yeah, in the 4th round, Devin Singletary, that makes Devin Singletary a projected, low-end RB2 if you're going in the 4th round.
Exactly.
Yeah, Devin Singletary is a high-end RB2, might be able to sneak into that RB1 conversation if he has a great season. Yeah, that I'm buying all day. I'll buy 10 times.
Give me yours.
All right. Cortland Sutton is going to finish as a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, so a top 12 wide receiver this year.
I'm thinking. And I'm buying.
You're buying.
Yes, I'm buying. I'm high on Cortland Sutton.
We both are.
I think the offense as a whole, you should have catered this question to someone else
because
you knew what my answer was going to be. But that's because I really like the offense. I really like the system. And Cortland Sutton had great numbers last year. And I only assume that his quarterback-wide receiver relationship is only going to heighten with Drew Lock. And as long as he can get comfortable in the pocket, Cortland Sutton has a chance to be a top 5 option.
Yeah, I'm so high on Cortland Sutton. This is the guy that, look, at the beginning of our podcast life last year, where I said I am banging the floor instead of banging the table with for a player. I am banging the floor for Cortland Sutton this year. I truly believe he is going to be a household name by the end of the season. And I'm going to stick to it. That's a huge buy for me. I just keep putting it in because I just need people to understand that Cortland Sutton's going to be big, and people cannot believe me and then come back next year and realize that we were right. And by then, we're going to be super famous by then, so you'll miss the train.
Exactly. Hop on now.
Hop on now.
Oh, here's my wide receiver question for you. Buy or sell, AJ Green will be a top 15 wide receiver. And I'm not talking in fantasy production. I'm talking in ability.
You're going to call me a hater.
You're going to say no.
You're going to call me a hater.
Listen, the popular answer should be no. That's not hater. I'm high on AJ Green because I have a problem with trying to believe in the feel-good story, but a lot of times feel-good stories don't hit like that.
I believe that AJ Green is going to get injured at some point in the season. There was a calculation. I don't know how they do this, but it was over.
Because dude's been hurt a lot. The past
over a 50 based on the injuries that he's had and the history he's had with injuries. He has over a 50% chance of re-injuring something. I don't know exactly how they get that calculation, but that's the stat that I've seen.
That's scary.
Yeah, I'm scared of AJ Green. Top 15, I can't put him there. I just can't.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm going to sell it.
You're going to sell it?
I have to sell it.
I'm going to tentatively buy it. In the 6th round for fantasy leagues, I'll buy that.
Yeah, look, I don't have a problem because I have no problem with you taking the AJ Green in the 6th, 7th round, wherever he's going. I end up passing on him because it's not worth the risk.
Don't shoot on it in the 4th, though. You can't do that to yourself.
No. I have an issue doing it because I obviously see the other value at other positions or other players at the same position, but the risk scares me away from it. But in the 6th round, you're willing to take a chance on him. You believe that he can stay healthy all season. If he's healthy all season, I think he's pretty much a lock for top 15.
The year that he went down, so we'll say he was based on his production from last year, 1st round pick in fantasy. This was the time where AJ Green and Jordy Nelson were like the 2 dudes to have in the late 1st out of receivers.
Yeah.
He's a stud, and he's still got it. Things change quick.
Yeah. I totally get what you're saying. I totally understand I really don't want to hate on him. I don't want to sit here and say, no, nobody take AJ Green. No.
You're not doubting his talent. You're doubting his body, and that's one of the things you can't help right now.
Yeah, that just says what it is.
All right, give me yours.
All right. I'm officially coming out as a hater on this team.
Oh, I thought you were somewhere else. I was like, damn, okay.
Buy or sell the Tom Brady Tampa Bay hype.
You got to buy it.
I'm selling it.
You got to buy it. Tom Brady, a few days ago, said on a podcast, I think it was Peter King's podcast, he said, I have been playing football for 30 years, high school, college, and pro, and this is the first time I've had an offensive-minded coach. The dude has got fire in his eyes. He's going to go out there 42, 46, 58. I don't care. He's going to get wins, and it's going to happen. There's too much talent around him. It is one of the best offensive-loaded teams that he has ever had around him.
I know.
Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the offensive line is truly built up. I don't think Gronk. I think Gronk is being overdrafted. We can get to that in just a little bit. Just keep that to the side. O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. It's a really good team.
Good offensive line. Good defensive line.
With the GOAT commanding the ship.
Look,
how can you not buy into that hype?
I need to see 2 games of the regular season to see how they're running their offense, and I will come on this podcast and say I was wrong. I think they're going to be good. At this point,
well, what's it going to take? Is it going to take Tom Brady throwing for 400? Because that's not happening.
No. It's going to take me seeing the way they're running their offense. Truly just the scheme. Because I'm saying right now, and I've said this throughout the season, they have to change their scheme for it to work with Tom Brady. I will stand by. I don't think many people would argue that. I know you wouldn't. Would you?
No.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know if you were saying to say, yeah, I don't think many people would argue that Tom Brady can come in and do the same things that Jameis Winston was doing, because Jameis Winston was just throwing it down the yard, and that's not the type of quarterback that Tom Brady is, and that's perfectly fine. Tom Brady's a lot better quarterback. Obviously, I'm doubting it. I'm out on it. Look, they have a tough schedule.
So what do you think the win-loss is going to be?
Yeah, I think they're going to be like 7-8 or 7-9, 8-8. Yeah, I think they're going to be in that range.
That's bad.
Yeah, I know.
I truly can see.
They missed the playoffs. I don't know.
I see 9 being the floor.
Yeah, I don't.
9 is the floor for me. I would say the ceiling, I cap him at 12.
I get it. I keep seeing the hype, but I keep wanting to believe
That's
it.
Crazy.
I don't know what it is. Look,
buy into it.
It feels.
It's the GOAT. It's not Baker Mayfield and the Browns like it's been for the years past.
I knew you were going to come. I was kind of about to say that, and then I stopped myself and look, I sold on the Browns last year. I was right for the wrong reasons, but so I don't count it as me being right. I don't know what it is. I've seen too many reports. I've seen a couple reports of Tom Brady struggling to learn the offense, which I think is bullcrap.
Yeah.
I've seen just a couple things here and there that just feel fishy to me, feel weird.
He's got it, bro.
I'm out on it.
He's the GOAT.
He is. I know. Look,
he's got it.
Shit on me in the comments. I'm not even giving good reasons for why I'm out. I just have a bad feeling about this team. I'm selling the hype. They're being way too overhyped. I stand by the fact that they are not a Super Bowl team, in my opinion. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender with Tom Brady.
I think they're a Super Bowl contender.
Okay, so then maybe that's where I'm drawing the line. Yeah, I don't think they make the playoffs. We'll table it.
I'm buying, you're selling.
Yeah, that's fine. I was gonna say let's table the conversation. Give me shit in the comments, but that's fine. I deserve that. But other than that, we'll table it. We'll see what happens. You can come at me, a couple weeks in the season, midway through the season, whenever it is that I'm officially wrong.
Wow. All right. Well, that was a really, really big one. This one's kind of like a lesser down one. I feel bad. Buy or sell. Jalen Reagor is a top rookie wideout because, like we said earlier, we talked about Henry Ruggs, we talked about CeeDee, we talked about Jerry Jeudy and Justin Jefferson. There is a guy that was taken in the same round, 2 guys technically with Brandon Ayuk going in there, that don't get talked about enough. So I'll expand it to Brandon Ayuk and Jalen Reagor for you.
So there's a couple things to unpack with this conversation. There's a couple things to unpack. One, Jalen Reagor, I believe, I don't have my numbers up. I believe I had him as a borderline top 10 receiver coming into the draft. And it was a loaded draft, so top 10 is a compliment. It really is. So I'm not hating on Jalen Reagor, the player, at all. But when I watched Jalen Reagor, I didn't see him as like this guy that can be a do-it-all, wide receiver 1. I think he needs to be helped by a scheme. He needs to be helped by another receiver on the opposite side of him, which could happen. Alshon Jeffrey could be healthy.
Not in Philadelphia right now.
I would say Alshon Jeffrey could be healthy. He could have some kind of weapon on the other side. The opportunity is obvious. I think he will be a starter. I think he'll have the opportunity. I think he's really fast. I think that's the main reason they drafted him over. Yeah. It doesn't make sense, but that's why, because Justin Jefferson was fast too. I don't know. I still don't get why Justin Jefferson was looked over for Jalen Reagor. Whatever the reason was, they want to get faster, they want to get quicker, whatever it is. I'm going to buy it, but I'm kind of...
Doesn't sound like you're buying it.
I know. I don't know.
Then say you sell. Would you take Jalen Reagor over any of the 4 in Henry Ruggs, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, or Justin Jefferson?
No. You're right. You're right. Then I'm selling. You're right. Jalen Reagor would be my 5th, I guess.
And I'm a sell on it too. I am.
Yeah.
And it's just because the other guys I think have a higher ceiling and higher potential in CeeDee Lamb. Because right now, if you're going to look at opportunity, it's Jalen Reagor over CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Because Reagor is going to have it force-fed to him, and CeeDee's got to fight the way through the offense and the touches and passing Michael Gallup.
You just know how I feel about CeeDee, though.
But CeeDee's better than Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, I just can't. Exactly. I can't see a world where CeeDee isn't just an absolute dominant threat in the NFL. Exactly. And that's just my opinion. That is what it is. With Jalen Reagor, man, I do like the player. I think he's going to be a good player down the road. I can't buy it.
Brandon
there.
Ayuk,
There's too much talent.
In there?
Brandon Ayuk, I'm buying. Brandon
Ayuk versus Jalen Reagor.
Brandon Ayuk, because that's why I kind of said it while you were talking.
I like Ayuk too because with Debo being out too.
There's a couple things.
It's a better offense, a better scheme, and I really think he's a better player too. Brandon Ayuk is a slept-on receiver.
Listen, that's my big thing. Look, Brandon Ayuk, I did have graded higher than Jalen Reagor. Brandon Ayuk, I do believe is a really talented player on a team that needs talented wide receivers. They don't have a lot of guys. Like we just talked about earlier in this podcast about how they're not like they keep adding depth to the wide receiver position because they're not seeing a lot of depth on their team. Dante Pettis has been a bust. He might not even make the team this year. That's how bad it is. I think Brandon Ayuk, if he can figure out the system, also, which I brought this up on this podcast before, this is a guy who there was an absolute love affair with Brandon Ayuk and Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan loved Brandon Ayuk. Kyle Shanahan thought Brandon Ayuk was the number 1 wide receiver in this draft. Obviously, I didn't think that, but that's saying something. Yep. He's come out he has said that on a podcast that he was his number 1 wide receiver. They almost took Brandon Ayuk with the 13th pick. They only didn't because of draft value. Yep. And then they thought they get Ayuk later, which they did. They traded up to get him to ensure they would get him. Yeah, I'm going to take Brandon Ayuk. I think he could be a really dangerous guy. There's one other receiver that comes to mind that I think about. I've seen so much hype. We talked about him last week. Bryan Edwards.
Brian Edwards.
I
knew it was coming.
I keep saying Brandon.
You're good. I knew it was Bryan Edwards.
Another guy he's
had a really good camp.
He was my 11th wide receiver. I went back and looked the other day. He was my 11th wide receiver off the board last year as far as my values for him. So I love the talent, first of all. Yeah. And he is getting rave reviews. Derek Carr's come out and said he's just so smooth. Like he's just always there, reliable type of guy. Brandon Edwards is a guy I think
you said it again. Brandon. We're just going to call him Brandon Edwards.
It's Brandon Edwards. I don't know. What's his real name?
Brian Edwards.
It's Brandon, though. I don't know.
I guess so. Might be.
Where am I getting Brandon Edwards? All right. It's Bryan Edwards. I think he's going to be really, really good, regardless of what his name is. The guy that plays for the Rams, or for the Raiders, his last name's Edwards. That's who I like. But we'll move on. Yeah.
We didn't say Van Jefferson.
Yeah. That's another good one who has opportunity as the third receiver. Again, I mean, we actually both agreed on this.
I can't remember who it was. Someone told me yesterday that there is a chance that Van Jefferson steps up into the 2 spot and it slides Cooper Kupp back down to the 3rd so he can stay with the slot. Trust me, I thought it was crazy.
All right, look, that's absolutely true in the sense that, yes, Cooper Kupp's going to play from the slot receiver position, but if we say wide receiver 2, Cooper Kupp is the first or second look. That's the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 on the team. So, if you want to call the slot receiver the wide receiver 3, sure. But other than that's the only way you could get that technicality across. Van Jefferson, look, he fit the scheme. I've said this throughout the offseason. He fits the scheme perfect. He's a route running type of guy. I just never saw enough explosiveness from Van Jefferson to get excited. We'll see. I felt the same way about Cooper Kupp, and I knew Cooper Kupp was a route runner. I didn't know what he would do with the Rams, but we've seen what the Rams can do with a pristine route runner. So yeah, there's super high upside with Van Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean there is. I'm not buying on that though.
So no, I'm not.
Get to yours.
All right, number 4 here. AFC South is the toughest division in the AFC. This was almost said. I almost said the NFL, but then I realized
that's
49ers. Yeah, the 49ers, Cardinals, Rams, and Seahawks.
Too. I would take the NFC South over that.
I would take the AFC South over the NFC South. This is my argument for it. You have the Saints, top dog. Obviously, Saints are probably better than any other team in the AFC South.
Because you don't believe in the Bucs.
I don't believe in the Bucs, and that's me personally. I don't believe in the Falcons. That's me personally. And then the Carolina Panthers are going to be an offensive powerhouse with no defense. So, I don't know.
I think you might be overhyping the Texans a bit. I think the Texans might be in a slump.
Texans are either going to be my second or third team on this in the AFC in my final breakdown.
Yeah, I think this is a division that always plays close, really tight, sloppy football games amongst each other.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, well, I'm mainly thinking of the Titans and Jaguars. They
Yeah.
always play each other. And somehow the Titans screw around and lose one of those games to a 3 or 4 win Jacksonville team. It's probably going to happen this year, too. It always does.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. That's hard to say. In the AFC, I mean, AFC North.
So let's break down the teams.
I believe in Pittsburgh. I believe in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't be believing in Cleveland. And, of course, we know that Baltimore is sitting atop the throne.
Yeah. Look, the reason.
there.
Look, I actually do believe in Cleveland. I have questions about about Pittsburgh.
If
and
I
then
saw,
no questions
I
about
saw
the
them
Ravens.
last year with no quarterback. I believe in Big Ben, and if he is healthy,
Super
and
good
to see
point.
that, I mean, I think
Super
it's
good
there.
point. Yeah, no, I absolutely see what you're saying. So this is my argument for it. This is why I'm buying this. AFC South is the toughest division in the AFC. Look, part of the toughest division is the fact that we don't know who's going to be the number one. Any one of the top 3 teams. The Titans could easily win the AFC South. The Colts could easily win the AFC South, and the Fighting Deshaun Watsons could easily win the AFC South. Any one of those teams could win the AFC South. That's part of what makes it the toughest, in my opinion. Who's winning the AFC North? Ravens, guaranteed, right? Like, I mean, what are the odds the Ravens get overthrown?
But I don't think you can say that as them being the best division in the AFC.
But
though,
I'm
just
saying
because
all
it's,
3
just
of those
because
teams.
it's close.
Okay, but all 3 of those teams are good teams, in my opinion. I think the Titans. I mean, we saw what the Titans could do last year.
I am honestly surprised you're this big on the Colts because of Phillip Rivers. I thought you were just crapping on them for a while.
I have switched gears a little bit. I do
really
believe in
good
the Colts.
team.
Look,
I think it is the Colts and the Titans to take the division. I think the Texans will be an 8-8, 7-9-ish team, and Jacksonville's going to be on the ground.
I hope they're 7-9. That makes the Dolphins draft pick higher, which that might not matter this year. We don't know. Look, I get what you're saying. I understand this was a very divisive question, and I get why you would sell it.
A division that is probably not mentioned as being in the toughest division. That's
totally
probably
true.
why I'm going to sell it. But there's some truth.
Is it worth noting for all the listeners? Hey, watch out for the AFC South. There's some teams that are going to surprise you out of the AFC South. I think
it's because we haven't seen a Super Bowl come out of it in years.
Yeah, Titans have never won one. Yeah, Colts with Peyton, and that's a totally different team now. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Mine, and I'm going to flip them around because I'll have to make a note to go back to this one, but it's on Deshaun Watson. That's why I want to mention it.
Gotcha.
Buy or sell Deshaun Watson getting the Texans to the playoffs.
I sell.
Don't you go and say the AFC South is the best damn division in the AFC and sell the fucking Texans making the playoffs. That's why I did this.
But it's not because it's not because I think the Texans are bad.
There's a load.
It's because I think Deshaun Watson. Look, I called them the Fighting Deshaun Watsons. That's all they are.
That's why I specifically worded the question Deshaun Watson before the Texans in there.
Yeah, no, like I totally get what you're saying, but they're gonna have to fight off their own division. That's very tough. They're gonna have to fight off the Browns, who could be really good. The Steelers, that could be, because look, if
I believe they play the Patriots too.
So I'm just saying if they can't win their division, they have a really tough road to get through some seriously really good wild card teams, right? So you have, look at the AFC East. Look, maybe the Patriots are going to be nothing this year. I still stand by the Fighting Bill Belichick's, and the Bills are supposed to be really good, right? Yeah. So those are 2 teams that might be fighting for a wild card spot. Then you look at the Browns and the Steelers; those are 2 teams that are going to be fighting for a wild card spot. Oh yeah. Then we have we know that the Chiefs are going to win their division probably.
You think the Broncos are going to be high?
Broncos are going to be good. The Raiders might be good. I'm not high on them, but they might be good. And the Chargers, again, I'm not super high on them, but they might be really good too. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC as far as like wild card threats, right? Because I feel like the division, for the most part, you kind of know who's going to be fighting for a wild card spot. If the Texans are fighting for a wild card spot, they will not make the playoffs. That is my prediction.
Damn.
So based on that, I'm going to say I'm selling because I don't have the Texans winning their division this year.
With the extra seat opening up, I think there's a chance they can do it.
Yeah. Oh, man, there's always a chance. Yeah.
Well, I get that. I think Deshaun Watson's able to get his team going.
Yeah. That's fair. Look, I just don't know, man. Their defense is not good. I don't believe in their running game. I mean, they're spending. Look, There's
a chance that David Johnson could have a
There absolutely is. Let's talk about numbers for a second and talk about how ridiculous this sounds. Tell me if this makes any sense to you. The Texans, they trade away one of the top receivers in the game because he's going to want to get paid and they don't want to pay him, right? So now they are paying the third most of any NFL team on the wide receiver position because they have 4 guys that they're paying millions of dollars to. Will Fuller is making over $10 million. I don't have this off the top of my head, so I'm kind of generalizing a little bit. Will Fuller's making over $10 million on his 5th year, deal or whatever. Kenny Stills is making like $6 or $7 million. They have Cobb that's making like $3 or $4 million, and then Brandon Cooks is making $8 or $9 million. They're spending the third most on the wide receiver position after trading a number 1 wide receiver. And I don't know what to think about their wide receiver core. Would you think it's the third best in the NFL? Think it's top 10, top 15? No, I don't either.
To have that much money invested in it is not show.
Oh yeah, and they're paying the second most on their running back position because they're paying they're paying David Johnson, and they're paying Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson got a contract from the Browns before he was traded to the Texans, and then obviously David Johnson was literally going to be cut until the Texans said, "Yeah, we'll take on $10 million for a washed-up running back." Don't understand the way,
and that's shipping out DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm not defending their moves.
No, I know you're not.
They've done horrible moves, and they have done a disservice to Deshaun Watson, who is a generational quarterback who is not going to really have a team around him. I can't see a foreseeable future
because Deshaun Watson's going to get paid by the end of the season too, right? So that's another part of it.
They'll lock him up.
My whole point in saying all that is, this team is built very, very poorly, and it's gonna fall. They've been the top of their division for a couple years now. At some point in the near future, it might not be this year. Maybe they win their division, fine. But in the near future, the next 2 or 3 years, I do believe the bottom is going to fall out, and they are going to have to kind of rebuild because they are built. Their team is built very poorly, just based on skill positions. Their offensive line, they spent so much money on their offensive line. It's not that good still. I mean, Deshaun Watson is still getting sacked more than any, the top 5 most in the NFL, partially because of Deshaun Watson, and he has to keep every single play alive. And their defense sucks. It sucks. It's not good at any level. I mean, yeah, I'm selling.
That's fine.
It's the fighting Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson could do it by himself and win 10 games. It's possible. I'm selling on that happening though.
Give me your last one.
I got a little bit cough today. I'm sorry. 3 starting. There's 4. 4 starting sophomore quarterbacks will have a big year, right? So there's 4 quarterbacks coming into their sophomore year. I'm going to say 3 is the buy sell because I do believe 3 of the 4 quarterbacks that are going into their second year are going to have a big year. How do you feel about Kyler Murray, Drew Lock, Danny Dimes, and Dwayne Haskins?
I buy the first 3. I sell Dwayne Haskins.
Fair enough.
I like Alex Smith. I saw that video the other day. It was awesome. It was kind of crazy.
Him coming back.
Kind of sad, though, because it looked like in the video he was still favoring that leg, which is rightfully fair. I mean, he had 17 surgeries on it. But,
I mean, man, he had a bad one.
He's cleared for activity.
Yeah.
He's in pads. He was in pads today doing light drills and stuff. That's scary.
Yeah.
I still like an injured, maybe crippled Alex Smith more than a Dwayne Haskins. And I've seen the story about Dwayne Haskins cutting the body fat and everything. But I don't think it's the physical ability. Yeah. I think it's up here. Something's not clicking with the mind and the offense isn't working. Danny Dimes, I think he's ready to make his next step. He was doing a lot of touchdowns. He got a lot of interceptions. Keep that under control, get a better team around him. He's good.
Fumbles could be figured out, and he could be good, yeah.
Drew Lock and Kyler Murray, I mean, I think they're the guys who can make the next step and start to really turn their teams around.
I 100% believe that, yeah. So I came up with this because I 100%, I think I've told you this. I don't know how many times. I think I mentioned this once on the podcast. I think Kyler Murray's the QB1 in fantasy this year, right? I think he's going to have an awesome statistical year.
I don't think that.
Yeah, that's my personal opinion. So I'm projecting a big jump for Kyler Murray. A lot of that has to do with the rushing yards that get built into fantasy value. Drew Lock, I've been high on since he was drafted, essentially.
Yeah.
Danny Dimes, look, he proved me wrong last year. I was not high on that pick, and
for how much
for most
people hated him and the shit that he got, he had some really, really good weeks.
He had some really good weeks
several times, several touchdowns.
And even the bad weeks, he showed a lot of promise, right? Yeah. Even the weeks where you can say, oh, he wasn't his best game, he showed poise under pressure to late.
And I can sit there and blame it on the Giants' infrastructure right now.
Exactly. Yeah. You can blame it on him not having really any talent wide receiver position behind their tight end, really. And then we get to Dwayne Haskins, and I 100% get everything you said. My one caveat for Dwayne Haskins, because like I said, I am 100% buying the first 3. Dwayne Haskins is a huge question mark. I did a video on Dwayne Haskins earlier this year, and I talked about his footwork and things like that. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of the things he does mechanically are really fixable. I mean, a lot of it's just a wide base and takes makes poor decisions when he's under pressure. A lot of it's fixable. The last 2 games were really good for him, and that shows promise. I hope to see Dwayne Haskins take a next step because I liked him coming out of college, and you always root for these young guys. But I do agree, Alex Smith probably going to get the nod, just because he's older, and if he's healthy and ready to go, he's probably, he's less dangerous than Dwayne Haskins, I believe, but
I still think you owe it to Dwayne Haskins, though, to let him go out there and see if he can right the ship, because if Washington, you got to know where your future is right now.
Yeah.
It's not an Alex Smith. I mean, we know that. He's towards the end right there, so what's the point in doing that anyways? See what Dwayne Haskins is, because next thing you know, I would let Dwayne Haskins go out there and start 16 out of 16 games no matter what the production is.
And just throw him to the wolves a little bit.
Throw him to the wolves.
See,
if you get him back, you can see the promise, and maybe you can build off of that. If not, you're a top 5 pick, and then you get Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields.
One of those guys, yeah. So my thing with that is I would rather see Haskins really understand the offense, get a good grip of it, maybe sit for the first 5 or 6 games of the season, and then put Dwayne Haskins in, let him play out the rest of the season, see what you have.
Yeah.
No one expects the
if that's the difference in him and you getting a better version of Dwayne Haskins, then I agree with that as well. I want the Redskins to see their
Redskins. Who are they?
Yeah, the Washingtons. I want them to see their best version of Haskins.
I did it too just a second ago.
So they can figure out where to go off their future.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I'd like to see Haskins do well, but man, last year going into the draft, no one was talking about this wide receiver or this quarterback draft being really good. And, a year later, I'm really excited about all these guys. Even Haskins.
As of now, we have 4 starters.
Yeah, Haskins, we have questions. We're not sure. But if 3 of the 4 hit, I mean, that's a good quarterback class, and that's good for the NFL. When quarterbacks are better, the NFL's better, in my opinion. All right.
I bought it, though. Yeah.
Right.
My last one. Buy or sell the 49ers Super Bowl slump.
Yeah, I'll buy.
So you think that they're going to fall off how far?
I think this will be a playoff team. The reason I'm gonna buy, one, we've really never seen in recent history anyway. We've never seen the NFC team that goes to the playoffs repeat or that goes to the Super Bowl repeat and have a significant year the year before. A part of that is Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan made the Falcons what they were the year they went to the Super Bowl, and then he left for the 49ers job, and the Falcons fell off. I don't think you get that excuse for the Rams. There's a lot of teams I question. Am I buying it or selling it? How'd you word the question?
Do you believe in the Super Bowl slump?
Yeah, so I'm buying the Super Bowl slump.
You're buying that they will go into a Super Bowl slump. Yeah. I'm not as high on the 49ers either because of the way that the division shaked out. I mean,
that's where I was going
like I said, if it's one of those things where, and I've said it before on multiple episodes, where we have one game, almost 1 yard came down to one of those last plays in those games that separates the 1 seed from the 5 seed, separates guys coming to you for the entirety of the playoffs, and you having to go play at the 12th man, which is a whole different beast.
Essentially, I mean, if you really think about it, it was 2 games in a row that were 1 yard because Julio Jones scores a touchdown on the goal line, literally a yard away the week before against the Falcons. That was really, really close too. It wasn't counted as a touchdown, but he was a yard away from the touchdown.
Exactly. So there's
2 weeks in a row is a yard.
You've said it before about those last second wins, those fourth quarter comebacks. They regress to the mean at a certain point.
Yeah.
And that works for guys who don't get them and guys who do get them.
Yeah.
And I think the 49ers had a few last year.
Yeah.
They had several that were last second field goals that happened. I remember one against the Cardinals, which shouldn't have been a game that Kyler was in, but he was able to get them going in it. If those happen, next thing you know, you're a 9-win team and you're battling through other guys through the playoffs. They're a good team, but they're not going to be the NFC Championship version that we saw last year.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that's a really good point. So, I'm buying the Super Bowl slump. They're still going to be good. I think, like you said, I think they probably make the playoffs still, but I don't think they get back to the Super Bowl.
There we go.
All right, and we are going to close out the show as we often do with our top 5, and this week we are doing our top 5 3-headed monster. That is quarterback, wide receiver, running back. And guys, if your team isn't on this list, if you feel like we missed somebody, that's fine.
Hate on us.
There's 32 teams, and all of them have some varying degree of a good quarterback, wide receiver, and running back. So this was a tough list to make. Yeah. But let us know in the comments what you think, what your top 5 would be. Let's get this going here. I will start with the top 5.
How many honorable mentions you have?
I have. Oh shit! Yeah, we gotta do honorable mentions. I have 4 honorable mentions that I thought were noted.
I have 3. So math-wise, you should go first.
Yeah. So my first honorable mention I do want to bring up, and I'm going to go from least honorable to most honorable. Okay. Bridgewater, Moore, McCaffrey. All right.
Very glad you said least to. I mean, they're good. They're serviceable, and we don't know where Bridgewater is.
Listen, McCaffrey's a baller. DJ Moore is a future baller, and Bridgewater I think can get the ball to these two guys at a serviceable rate. Again, though, you're right. There's no reason they could really put them on the list because we don't know what Bridgewater is, and the quarterback is a huge part of the three-headed monster.
My first one in least to most would be the Falcons in Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley, and Julio Jones.
I don't even have them on here.
That's fine. It hurt me to keep them off, honestly, because you know how high I'm on Julio Jones. Matt Ryan has been a quarterback in the league for how long now, and he is still at that high level of. I mean, he was the number two.
Matt Ryan and Julio are great. That's actually really good. And I don't know why I don't have that on my list. That's a good
Todd Gurley,
point.
The health issue. I really want to be able to. Question mark. For me to justify it, I think pretty much every single one in here, minus one, and I'll specifically tell you which one that is a top 10 quarterback, top 10 running back, top 10 receiver, and the one that isn't is a top 15 quarterback with 2 top 5s at the others.
Yeah.
And that's why they're there. So
totally fair.
If Todd Gurley's healthy, he fits the bill for that, but we don't know yet.
Yeah, we talked about that. Todd Gurley's health could have a huge impact on the NFL season. I mean, it could really bump the Atlanta Falcons up a couple pegs if he can go back to past form of Todd Gurley. We'll see. I'm a little bit of a hater when it comes to healthy players. In general. I mean,
that's treading safe.
I stay safe when it comes to stuff like that. So I would bet against it, but you're right. Just Julio and Matt Ryan, you have to turn heads just because those two guys, stars in the league for a long time. My number 3, man, it was hard for me not to put them on here. Locke, Sutton, and Gordon. Drew Lock.
That does sound really
Sutton,
good, doesn't it?
And Melvin Gordon.
It does.
Look, Lock, regardless of what I think, Drew Lock is still a huge question mark, so that's why he's not on there. Courtland Sutton is not a huge question mark in my mind. Even, look, I guess he is for some people, but for me, he's not. I will stand by the fact that he is a future star in this league. And then Melvin Gordon, look, he was drafted the same year as your guy, Gurley. Mm-hmm. So look, there's going to be tread on the tires. There's question marks. That's the facts of being a running back in the NFL, especially a workhorse. We get into year 6, it's tough. It's scary. You just don't know what's going to happen.
There's so many other names that are fresh.
Crazy to think it's only been 6 years, but I mean, that's just where it is. So yeah, they're not on my list, but it's definitely something to look out for. Definitely could be a huge factor this league.
My next honorable mention: Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like it a lot. Kirk Cousins, I mean, some people aren't as big on him as I am. Of course, I'm a homer pick. It's biased, even though I'm wearing a Lions jersey right now. Dalvin's going to be able to step up and really be a dog at running back. I think his name should be up there with Zeke, McCaffrey, and Saquon. It's bold.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
He has the ability to do it, and he's going to have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, if he can be healthy, he absolutely would be.
Yes.
I do also think, even if he's not healthy, Alexander Madison's really good too. Like he's, if something bad does happen to Cook, Alexander Madison's going to come in and be a valuable player, I think. But yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
Adam Thielen is a really, really damn good receiver.
He absolutely
they didn't crack the top 5 because I don't know. I just think that the other names that are above him, you'll see why.
Yeah, I get it. Honestly, he's not even on my list, but he probably would have been close to it. My next honorable mention: Lamar Jackson, Marquise Brown, and Ingram, Melvin Ingram. Why I say Melvin Ingram? Mark Ingram.
See, I'm a damn hater because they're not on my list.
Look, and that's totally fair. Here's why. Obviously, I don't need to say anything about Lamar Jackson, right? We know who he is. Marquise Brown, look, had potential last year. He's another sophomore wide receiver who I am so high on. I 100% believe he's going to have a huge fantasy year this year, and I do believe he's going to cement himself as a top receiver in this game. And then we get to Mark Ingram, and I don't believe he will be starting at the end of the season. J.K. Dobbins, I do believe, will gain that starting job by the end of this year. I know that's bold. That is a crazy bold statement, especially considering what Mark Ingram is.
Yeah.
But I do think J.K. Dobbins is a younger version of Mark Ingram and just a little bit better. So that's what I believe is going to happen. And really,
I think with the J.K. Dobbins, if he can emerge into that, and Hollywood can do a little bit more, because I heard he put on some weight and just makes him more of a threat other than just a 9 route kind of guy.
That health, is going to be an issue. Look, and the thing for it's really tough to have a 3-headed monster when the running back position is so muddied as far as look, Mark Ingram is going to be the starting running back, but J.K. Dobbins is going to get carries. Gus Edwards is going to get carries, and Justin Hill is still a good running back. Like, he's just 4th on the depth chart because that running back room is stacked. So that's why I couldn't put it on the list.
My last honorable mention, and I expect crap. I should get crap, but I have a reason for it. Dak, Amari, and Zeke. Amari, inconsistent at times. Zeke is a baller. Zeke is good. And by the end of the year, these guys do put up the top 5 potential. But I still am not that big on Dak. Personally, I'm not.
Okay.
Come on. Come on.
I'm not crazy high on Dak, but they're in my top 5, and they're also in my top 3.
They just missed the cut. And the reason that they missed the cut is because my number 5 for me is someone that I have been just high on. It is someone that I have always liked since he came into the NFL, and I think that this is the year to make the next step. And with them acquiring what they did, listen, like I said, I'll get there.
So what I want to do is I'm going to wait to hold judgment. Because look, like I said, they're my top 3. When we get to that them on my list, I will kind of talk about it and I'll give you shit. Until I hear your list, I don't want to shit on you for having names higher than them. I don't see how you could have names higher than them. That many names higher than them. You have what? 5 names higher than them?
5 names higher.
Yeah, that's tough for me.
I have no problem putting them at 5. It is just a coin flip bias and a preference that keeps them off of it and from being at 5. Yeah. And it is a problem that I have with Dak. It's a problem that I have had with the entire Dallas Cowboys team as a whole, always having killer talent and just somehow they didn't make the playoffs last year.
I know. I mean, you're right. Look, look.
That same Dak, Amari, Zeke did not make the playoffs last year.
You're absolutely right, but I mean, it's more than just 3 players on offense.
The guy at 5
team.
Did.
Okay, look. The
guy at 5 doesn't have near as good of an offensive line.
It's really hard to argue this when we haven't gone through the list. So we'll wait on that. We'll move on.
Give me your last one.
My last one, I wanted them on this list so bad, and I know they're probably not even mentioned on yours.
It's Kyler.
I knew it. DeAndre Hopkins.
I knew it. That's why it would be mentioned.
And Kenyon Drake.
They are good though.
They're awesome. And I've already said my piece on Kyler Murray. I do think he's going to be super, super good this year. I've said my piece on DeAndre Hopkins in this podcast. DeAndre Hopkins is a top 5 receiver in this game.
Kenyon Drake is where you get
Kenyon Drake is where I'm going to get a lot of people.
Top 10 running back?
I think he will be a wide receiver or running back 1 this year, yeah.
That's top 10.
Top 12, so for fantasy value, look, he's a talented running back. For fantasy value, I do expect him to have a great year. Look, health has been an issue for him, so that's a big part of it. And also, Adam Gase was an issue for him too. Like even when he was healthy, he just wasn't getting the amount of workload that he probably deserved. That's fine. It is what it is.
I get why they're there though, because I mean, there's a lot of top 3, or not top, but 3-headed monsters out there that have a lot of promise behind them. It really is. I think all of us left Russell off the list. That's what we may have to acknowledge. Yeah,
it's something we shouldn't bring up, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, Russell Wilson's awesome. What's the running game going to look like?
Exactly.
You don't know with Chris Carson.
And would it be Tyler Lockett or DK for you?
Yeah, that was tough too. It was just really tough for me to narrow down a 3-headed monster. That's why I didn't even put him on there. Definitely worth mentioning, though. I'm glad you said
They're
that.
Good.
Yeah. All right, you go next.
I will go into my number 5, the guys that jumped Dak, Amari, and Zeke. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Devin Singletary.
Not yet. They're not on my list.
They're winning the division.
Yeah, look, we disagree on that too, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I get that. I like Josh Allen. I think he is a better quarterback than Dak.
Okay, so look.
Yeah.
I think that's close. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I do think that's close. I think Dak is in a far better situation than Josh Allen. Josh Allen's in a good situation.
That's mainly my point. No, I don't think Josh Allen is in a good situation. I think it is now a good situation.
Look, Josh Allen is still very. Look, no, I actually, now that I think about it, Josh Allen
was a 4th-round pick. Let's not act like Dak was the... Okay, but I'm tired of people acting like Dak...
value anymore, man. It's too late.
Yes, we can.
No, we can't. Yes, we can. Okay, Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick, so I guess he's not good, right?
I'm not saying that you can't be good.
Trubisky was drafted ahead of Mahomes.
You're going to keep going and not even let me get a word in. The GOAT of all time went in the 6th round. He is the GOAT. He is good, but there are systems that go around that. Dak on Buffalo ain't shit. Put money on it.
I disagree.
Put damn money on it.
I disagree, man.
He ain't shit. He went in the 4th round, and he has the best offensive line, one of the best wide receiver groups around him, and the best running back behind him. And he still couldn't get to the fucking playoffs last year. I'm tired of him asking for $35 million.
A lot.
There's my Dak rant.
A lot. That's fair, man. I love it. I love the energy. But man, a lot of that isn't on him. A lot of it's on the play calling from last year.
It's on Jerry Jones because he's the one with the damn helmet.
Look, no, Jerry Jones has done a great job for Dak. Look, I'm not saying Dak is a star. I don't want to really argue against you. Dak, I feel like we agree for the most part. Dak's somewhere between 10 and 15
Dak is a top 10 quarterback who can sometimes go into the top 5.
Yeah,
I don't want to sound like I'm dead set against Dak, teetotal. Yeah, that's how I'm saying it. I don't want to sound like I just completely hate Dak, but I am saying he is a 4th-round pick for a reason. I'm tired of people acting like this dude was McJesus coming out.
He was a 4th-round pick because he was on a terrible offense, and he
was not. There were not. Mississippi State, you can go back and look at the first ever college football playoff poll. Mississippi State was number 2 on there.
Poll?
Yeah, poll. 1 through 4.
So not at the end of the season, the beginning of the season.
Mississippi State was a top 25 ranked team in the nation. That's a good team.
Okay.
That's a good team.
Let's take a step back because I feel like we're arguing about different things.
Nope. You just said Dak. That's a good team.
I have said that Dak Prescott is somewhere between 10 and 15 in the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah. I think you would agree with that for the most part. I think most people, if they disagree, they think he's better. I don't think many people would argue that he's worse.
No, he's not a bottom quarterback.
Josh Allen is somewhere between 15 and 25 right now.
But you just said before air that he has a chance in fantasy to be a top quarterback.
Yeah, no, look, I'm saying potential. Potential's great. Yeah, I like the potential right now. Right now, coming into this season, Josh Allen is still very inaccurate. He still has some growing to do. Look, I love Josh Allen. He was my number 1 quarterback coming out of that class. I think Josh Allen is a great player. I think he will develop into a great player. I think he has the potential to be better than Dak. Right now, I can't put him in better than Dak. I don't know a lot of people could.
Situation. It is where they are at.
Okay. That's fine.
Buffalo does not have near the talent like they do on offense.
Look, and the other part of it is...
You're going to tell me last year that John Brown was the dude at receiver?
Come on. I'm actually trying to agree with you right now.
No, you're not.
Yes, I in the sense that, yes, Josh Allen this is the first year that Josh Allen has truly had a team around him that we can say, okay, there's no excuses. Every other year, he has been a wild quarterback on a bad offense, right? Yeah. That's the way the Bills built their team. They went defense first, then they went quarterback, and then they built the skill position around him. So, I get it. This is a big year for Josh Allen. I'm actually expecting pretty big things. I'm a little bit more tapered off in my expectations than you are. I think you're higher on them than I am, but I'm expecting reasonably big things.
I felt like justification was due as to why they're 5.
That's fair.
That's where it comes from.
That's fine. That's fine.
He finally has the pieces around him to, I think, where he can succeed.
But here's the other part of it. It's not all on him. Here's the other part. I don't think that you could say that Josh Allen is significantly better than Dak. Like, he's not.
I never said that.
Okay.
There's a reason.
I'm going down the line. I'm going down a line in argument, all right? So not significantly better than Dak, even if you say he's better. Amari Cooper is better than Stephon Diggs. Do we disagree on that?
It's close.
Okay, you know what? It is close because he's so inconsistent. Ezekiel Elliott is far better than Devin Singletary, and we both agreed on this podcast that I like Devin Singletary, but Zeke is far better. It's a whole nother league.
Like I said, it's a personal bias that comes into some things about the way that Dak is mentioned with, it's not even a Dak thing, it's the way that other people hype Dak up. It's certain Cowboys fans who go so crazy on his nuts thinking that this dude is a Hall of Famer and stuff. Yeah. It gets annoying to me.
I don't side with that. Yeah.
There are a ton of weapons that got gifted to Dak that allow him to do good. Yeah. That make his talents flourish that Josh Allen does not have that
Imagine Deshaun Watson being on the other Texans, switch teams.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. And it's just
I get it.
I would like to see Josh Allen make that next step and do it.
I would like to see it. Yeah.
I would. Dak, if this is Dak's step, then it's not that good. Okay. I really don't. If Dak has hit his ceiling, then okay, we're good. Josh Allen can go fucking through the roof at MVP type level. Yeah, Dak ain't there.
Yeah, Josh Allen has that potential.
Be there.
Yeah, because Josh Allen, if he can get the accuracy down, I mean, he's a big MFer in the pocket. He can stand in the pocket. He can run. He can move.
Dak can be a really, really good quarterback in the NFL for a long time and win you some playoff games. Sounds a lot like Tony Romo to me. Sounds a lot like Tony Romo.
Look, I think he's better than Tony Romo was at this point.
Don't hate on Tony Romo.
I'm not hating on Tony Romo. I was never super high on Tony Romo.
Good quarterback for many, many years. Yeah. Top 10 quarterback many, many years. Led the Cowboys to many, many good games.
Yeah.
But never up in the conversation for MVP. And I'm going to have Dak there.
All right, we're going to move on because we're going to argue about them more later. So let's move on for a second.
Gosh.
Aaron, because, I mean, you can see my list. You know how high they are. I messed this up. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones come at my number 5 for my top for three-headed monster. You have Aaron Rodgers, who is, still a top 5 quarterback in this league. Some people might disagree with that, but I still believe that. Look, if he has another bad season, I will stop saying that. But look, he had an injury season in 2018 that I'm not going to put against him. And then he had a season where it's his first year in a new system. I can't hold it against him too much. So
you can see my list, and I'll talk about them later.
Oh, okay. So we're going to be on. I thought we might argue some more. I'm just so defensive from the last one.
You are very defensive right now.
Devontae Adams is a star receiver in this league, and then Aaron Jones, who yes, he's going to have to split time with AJ Dillon, who's really good too.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty damn good three-headed monster in my opinion.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'll talk about him later. I don't hate you for this. I want to keep in mind one last thing on their last argument is that this was my number 5.
We're going back to it.
Yes, because you're not letting me get my fucking point in. This was my number 5 three-headed monster in Josh Allen, and my number 6 was Dak. That wasn't that bad. I'm not that crazy of a guy for this.
The funniest part about it is you even said you could switch it and I wouldn't be mad at you.
Exactly.
But then you argued with me for 10 minutes about
you unbuttoned your pants and took a shit on me. That's why I have to defend myself. I have to. I can't just sit here like it really wasn't that big of a deal to me until you said it. Dak, I hope you do shit this year.
Oh,
no,
God.
I'm just kidding. Cowboys will be in the playoffs. I'm high on them.
Right.
My number 4, Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. They're good. I think the weaker spot out of all that is Drew Brees and seeing if his arm can hold up.
This is your number 4. Yeah,
this is my number 4.
Yeah, I don't want to bury the lead, but yeah, they're pretty close on my list too for you.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, Drew Brees. Look, this used to be the number 1, right? Like this used to be the go-to. Drew Brees falling off is the only reason he's not, the number 1 in my opinion anymore. Michael Thomas still a baller. Alvin Kamara. I think we're a little lower on than the public. I think we both kind of agree on where he should go, but for the most part, I
think the public would say that he should be number 1 or 2. I really do.
Yeah, and we're saying, hey, he's probably just top 10. Like, that's
Drew
where
Brees
we're
is
at.
good. He's
top
great.
7.
He can do a lot of things. It just showed me a lot last year with the limitations in his arm right now.
Yeah, no, he's not the same guy.
Maybe he can still do that. Maybe he's just not asked to do that. Yeah. I don't know.
All right, my number 4 is Baker, OBJ, and Chubb. The reason they're this low, because I get the hype around it. Obviously, first of all, Baker has really didn't show me anything last year. He's come out and said, "Hey, I was not in the right frame of mind. I just thought that we were going to come."
He wasn't going to talk anymore till the
play. He basically said, "Look, I came. I'm paraphrasing a lot, but based on a lot of interviews that he's had throughout the offseason, he was essentially saying, hey, I just came out, thought we were going to be ballers and bought the hype and didn't put in the work, and that was a mistake. And, look, he was a young kid. He made a mistake. That's fine. He can move forward and be good. I still think he has a great, future in this league. But right now we can't put him too high, in my personal opinion. OBJ, same kind of story as far as, used to be a star. Now, where is he after all these injuries? He's a star, but in the NFL, is he a top 10 receiver still? Maybe, yeah. I'd probably still put him there. But with the injuries and stuff, if he doesn't have a bounce back season this year as far as where he used to be, I'm going to start questioning it on a yearly basis. It used to be his first couple of years in the league put me into a mind space where he's a star. He's going to be great for the next 10 years. I thought it was, over and done with. At this point, I don't feel that way anymore about OBJ. And then with Chubb, again, it goes back to a point that I said earlier. A lot of people believe that Nick Chubb is going to be the feature back in Cleveland, and there will not be another running back that gets anywhere near the same touches as he does. I don't agree with that. I think Kareem Hunt is going to be pretty close to a 50-50 workload with Nick Chubb next year, and it's tough to have a three-headed monster when you're sharing the backfield. That's a prediction that I have that I've gotten shit for from a lot of people, so that's fine, but that's just my take. That's why they're at number 4 instead of higher on this list.
I won't hate on your take. I will piggyback off of it right into my number 3 with Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, and OBJ. I have always believed in the Browns. I think Kevin Stefanski can hopefully bring new life into this team and get these pieces working, because that's what it is to me. It is a damn dream car that's just not ticking right. And with the right person, the right coach, the right mechanic can come in and make this thing go all the way. And they can do it. They honestly have a chance to win the division with the capability of their team. Offense and defense is loaded. And I want to see Baker make the next step. I really do. Maybe I have a problem with believing too much in the wrong guys sometimes, and that being Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen. Whenever it's just, my thing is I can always see the ceiling. Yeah. I see the ceiling for these guys. Like, I compare it to a Dak. You know what you're getting out of him. You know it's going to be a good, above average, serviceable, sometimes great quarterback. But gosh, look at the ceiling on the other guys. They're not at that level of play yet. They're not doing the same things that he is yet. But they have a chance to do way better things. And I'm betting on that with this, and I think they're going to do it.
So, I mean, kind of piggyback off you had Bree, that you basically had the Saints at 4 and the Browns at 3. I had the Browns at 4 and the Saints at 3. So we're just kind of going back and forth. Yeah. Do we want to have a 10-minute?
I think it's one of those things, if a lot of people sit there and make their lists at home, you're going to be scratching your head because Michael Thomas is a better receiver than OBJ.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, better running back, you could sort of say.
I would say Chubb's better than Alvin Kamara, in my personal opinion.
Drew Brees right now is better than Baker.
Yeah, but it's close.
That's what I'm saying. That's right why there's certain things that you would think about it, and then it's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, but by the end of the season, am I really saying that Drew Brees is still better than Baker? I don't know. The top could fall off a little bit for Drew Brees, and he could really show his age this year.
I believe in the promise. I always look at the ceiling.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Do we want to have a 10-minute argument about being one spot off, or no? You're good. Okay.
I'll let this one go as long as you will.
All right, let's hear your number 2.
It's your turn.
No, I just said Brees, Thomas, and Kamara.
Oh, that's your number 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, that's my number 3.
That's your number 3.
Because you did your 3, I did my 3. Yeah.
My number 2, A-Rod, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones.
Okay.
So I think Aaron Rodgers having an off year last year led them to 13-3. He is still one of the best quarterbacks when it comes to throwing the Hail Mary. He is still the captain of the offense. He can make the guys around him great. Devontae Adams may not be that big of a household name if he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers throwing to him for most of his career.
Wow. Yeah. No, I do agree with that.
That's the way I feel about it. It's weird. You won't find me really praising Aaron Rodgers that much, but then again, the Vikings play him twice out of the year, and he's going down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah, he is.
I don't talk down the talent like that. No. I respect the talent and say how good it is, and then whenever you're able to beat them, then it's like, we beat that guy, not that guy let us beat him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
They're number 2 duo. I really like them a lot.
That's awesome. No, I agree. Obviously, they were my number 5. I thought I would get shit for them being on this list. I really did.
They deserve to be on the list. Aaron Jones was the number 2 running back last year.
Yeah, look, I actually liked them at number 2. You know, I had them a little bit lower just because I'm projecting the next year, and there's a lot of question marks about Aaron Rodgers coming in this year, and there's some question marks about Aaron Jones being, a split backfield with A.J. Dillon, so we just don't know. But I do agree with you. Maybe actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think I want to put him higher. Just now that we're talking it out. So yeah, no, I really like that. My number 2 is Dak, Amari, and Zeke. Yeah, they're the second best duo or three-headed monster in the league. And look, you know what? By the end of this year, we might still be saying that they're the second best three-headed monster in the league, but it might be CD instead of Amari as the wide receiver. But man, I mean, this offense is completely loaded, right? Dak Prescott is a really, really good quarterback. He's a really, really good quarterback.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper, some weeks he's, a top 5 wide receiver. Some weeks he's not. But, the weeks that he is, it's awesome.
I hope I made myself clear in saying that it wasn't Amari.
No, I heard that you fucking hate Amari and Zeke.
Oh, my God.
And you think that you think that every Cowboys fan sucks, right? That's all the things you said.
I'm putting my resignation on
And then, of course, Zeke, look, he had a little bit of a down year by his standards, a down year.
Still top 10.
Last year because of the contract or whatever else, spent too much time in Cabo, whatever it was. Yeah, still a borderline top 5 running back in this league. I'll say top 5, actually. Baller.
He's 1, 2, and 3.
Well, you said top 10, so
I meant last year based on fantasy production. He was still putting up numbers after sitting out most. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Still top 5 talent-wise, fantasy-wise, however you want to look at it. Yeah, I think they're really good. Look, you're down on Dak. I'm a little bit higher than you on Dak, and that's totally fair. We've beat this into the ground. I don't think we need to. There's nothing else we can really say about it. I disagree with you, and you're wrong.
Wait, I figured it out. I know what it is because I'm serious. I just said it.
I thought it was a setup for a joke.
I'm serious. I said it like 15 seconds ago. Part of this list for me was put with fantasy perspective in mind. Josh Allen, way better than Dak on a fantasy perspective. If you don't agree with me there, you can get the fuck out.
Oh, I disagree. I do disagree with you there.
What?
Dak Prescott
is better
has
than
weapons.
Josh Allen?
Dak has weapons for days, bro.
This is getting ridiculous. I don't know where I'm at. You legitimately don't believe
Okay, look, first of all, I'm not the only one that says this. I would argue the majority.
When Dak throws for 350, we celebrate and throw a party.
Can I talk? You want me to talk?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm gonna anyway.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Get it out of the way.
So first of all, I'm not the only one that's saying this. I would argue that the majority of the fantasy football community would argue that Dak Prescott has a higher ceiling and would rank him higher. The reason you rank Dak Prescott higher, this is getting out of the three-headed monster conversation and into the fact that he has three legit receivers to throw to. He has the added bonus of being a mobile quarterback, and he runs for, he'll put up 300 or 400 yards rushing, get a couple touchdowns on the ground. And yeah, they're quickly morphing into a pass-first football team. Yeah, I don't know how look, Josh Allen's going to be really good in fantasy, but
mobile quarterbacks get more points.
Dak Prescott's better. Dak Prescott has a higher ceiling in fantasy for sure. Let's look at ADP right now. We'll pull it up just so we can extend this conversation as long as we possibly can.
You're crazy, man.
Yeah, Dak Prescott's the number 4, and Josh Allen's the number 11. Off the board, according to Fantasy Football Calculator. So I'm not off on this at all. I think you're misvaluating a little bit here.
No.
As far as the perspective, you can totally disagree. I'm not saying you're wrong to disagree. I'm saying the perspective of the two players is Dak Prescott's better in fantasy than Josh Allen.
I'm not saying that I'm the only one standing on this. I get where the majority is going to go, okay. And that's fine. That is fine.
You just reacted like I was crazy. I'm not. I don't think I'm crazy.
I think that's crazy.
Okay.
I really do.
All right.
Josh Allen is better fantasy quarterback than Dak Prescott.
I think that's a bold statement, though. I do.
That's bold?
I think that's a bold statement, yeah.
Damn. Maybe I'm just way too big on Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think you are a little bit.
That's got to be.
I'll be honest. Yeah, look, Josh Allen's going in the 9th round right now. Great value if you're going to wait on quarterback. But if
Dak goes in the 6th?
Dak goes in the 6th, yeah. He's the 4th quarterback off the board.
I expect to see you do it.
I'm not going to do it.
Shut the fuck up.
I don't draft quarterbacks that early.
Do it. You have to do it now.
Look, my issue is Kyler Murray's going 2 picks after Dak, and Kyler Murray is...
And Deshaun Watson.
Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson are higher for me than Dak Prescott.
Okay, you knock that down. There's only 4 names separating them.
Okay. But, I still think Dak is better than Josh Allen.
You're killing me, Smalls.
That's just my personal opinion. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he has more weapons. He has more opportunity to put up big numbers.
I get the argument.
And the other part of it is the Bills are going to be playing defense and kind of control the game type of football. Yeah. That's what they did all year last year. So that cuts into production a little bit.
But damn.
Okay. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Hey, look, you heard it here first, folks. God. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, you messed up.
You heard it here first, folks. Jacob Waters thinks that Josh Allen is a fantasy value at 903.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
All right.
I very much so do. And it's going to be weird whenever we both announce our number ones because we have a guy at number 1 who hasn't even registered a snap yet in the NFL.
Yeah.
And both John and I feel the same about it.
I wish I could argue about it, but we can't because it's obviously Mahomes, Hill, and CEH. I want to go first. I want to go first because I think you're going to say one thing that we disagree with.
Okay.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be a star in this league, especially on the team that he's on and the type of offense that they're going to run. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was built in a fucking factory to run the offense that the Chiefs want to run. It's a perfect mold of skill set and opportunity, and he's going to be the lead back. Obviously, we know what Tyreek Hill is. Obviously, we know what Mahomes is. The Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the only part that I think maybe listeners might argue with. That might be the only reason people might not have him at number 1. I know we agree that they're number 1, but I stand by the fact that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a part of that three-headed monster in a big way.
He is. If it was Damian Williams, they wouldn't be number 1 for me.
Okay, so then we're on the same page.
It's not just any running back.
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire does bring a better running game to their team than Damian Williams could offer.
Yeah, it's a big element.
It's not as high as it could have been for the other rookies in the class. I have other running backs graded higher than him that I like better.
Yeah.
But we don't get to look at that. Like I said, Clyde Edwards, Tyreek Hill, Pat Mahomes, you have the number 1 quarterback, and I think it's very far between all the other guys after that. He is that far ahead. That's the reason they're number 1.
Yeah.
That's the end of story for me.
Awesome.
Tyreek Hill top 5, Clyde, great.
Yeah. All right. We're right on the same page there. Guys, that's going to end our show. Please, please, please let us know in the comments. What do you think? If you're on YouTube especially, let us know down below. What do you think about our top 5 list? Yeah. How would you rank them? Give us your rankings. We're really interested in hearing how far away we are from the general public and where you guys think we are. We're actually really close for the most part. I think four.
I think I went
four
crazy.
Of the 5 names.
Crazier. I usually go safe.
Yeah.
I went crazy this week.
That's fine. But four of the five teams were the same for both of us. So we were very different on honorable mentions, but that's okay. For the most part, we're on the same page there. Guys, please leave a comment, subscribe, and like the video, like the podcast, and you will be entered to win a Tyreek Hill jersey. We're going to be doing that for the next 5 podcasts.
T.Y. Hilton.
What did I say?
Tyreek Hill.
Oh, I'm thinking about Tyreek Hill. T.Y. Hilton. You can have a chance to enter multiple times, guys. You can enter on this podcast. You can enter for the next 5 podcasts that come out, and you can enter on iTunes, all right? Yep. And even if you want, if you have a different podcast listening app, leave a comment, a review, all that good stuff. Subscribe, and take a screenshot and send it to my Twitter. We'll enter you for that too, okay? So we're only looking at the iTunes reviews, but if you do it somewhere else and you show us, then we'll enter that. You have an opportunity to enter 6 times for this jersey. The last person that won our jersey did that. They entered in every single entry they could put in.
Got it done.
They had more entries. They had a better chance, and he won. So it works out great. Anything else?
That's it.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Please check back next week for everything football. Peace out, guys.